The alien queen's rage. The stars were quiet, but something dark moved through them. Deep in the Valari Empire, a planet burned. It had once been home to thousands of peaceful Valari families. Now it was only fire, ash, and silence. Floating above, the smoke in a black and silver warship, stood Princess Zalara. Tall, graceful, and powerful. She wore armor made of light metal and war cloth. Her long blue skin shimmered with sadness. Her eyes, cold and glowing violet, stared at the burning world below. A small hand touched hers. "Aunt, where are they?" a soft voice asked. Zalara looked down. Her niece, just a child, stood by her side. She didn't speak. What could she say? They were gone. Her sister, her people, wiped out in seconds by a human mining ship that had landed. Without permission, humans didn't even check if the planet was alive. They wanted resources. They pressed a button and dropped fire from the sky. Zalara had begged the Galactic Council to punish the humans. They did nothing. They called it an accident. They said humans were still learning. But for her, it wasn't an accident. It was a message. And now, she would send her own. She looked at her niece one last time, then turned to her generals. "Prepare the fleet," she said calmly. "Every human colony must fall." "Every human?" one general asked carefully. "Every single one," she replied, her voice sharp like ice. "They must feel what we felt." The war began that day. On Earth, Captain Jace Marin was training new soldiers at the Vega 7 base. He was one of the best, calm, brave, and smart. He didn't hate aliens. In fact, he had studied them. He even believed humans should learn to live in peace with them, but now everything was changing. "Sir, we've lost contact with Outpost 6 on Mars Sector," a young soldier shouted. Jace stood up. "How many lives?" "All of them, sir." Within hours, reports flooded in. Valari ships were attacking outposts, colonies, even supply lines. They were fast, quiet, and deadly. Nobody saw them coming, and they didn't leave survivors. Earth. Command called it a small rebellion. Jace knew better. This wasn't random. This was personal. He watched the data on his screen. Patterns of attack, timings, locations. "They're not just attacking," he whispered. "They're hunting." His friend and fellow officer Sarah looked at him. "Who's leading them?" she asked. Jace hesitated. Then he showed her a file. It was restricted, but he had seen it. "Princess Zalara. She lost her sister in that mining incident." Sarah nodded slowly. "And now she's making us pay." In the cold darkness of space, Zalara stood alone in her chamber. Her armor was off. Her war mask was on the table. She held a small item in her hand, a necklace. It belonged to her sister. She closed her eyes. Memories came. Her sister laughing, dancing, holding her child. Now only her niece was left, and even she didn't know the full truth. Zalara had hidden her niece on a quiet moon with guards. No one knew. Not the humans. Not even her own generals. The child was the last royal of Valari blood. Zalara had to protect her, even as she destroyed. "Everything else, your kind brought this," she whispered, looking at a star map of Earth. "Now you will see what real pain is." Her ship turned toward the next target, a remote human base on a moon called Drake 4. On Drake 4, Captain Jace's ship landed with a small team. They were sent to check for survivors. It had been silent for days. The base looked empty. Burned walls, broken towers, and silent screens. "Stay sharp," Jace ordered. They moved carefully. There were signs of a battle. Strange energy marks. No human bodies, but strange footprints. Suddenly, Jace stopped. A sound. Something soft. Crying. He followed the sound behind a broken wall, and there in a small corner was something he never expected. A child. Blue-skinned. Glowing eyes. A Valari. Alone. Scared. Hurt. Jace raised his weapon, but the child didn't move. She just stared at him. No fear, just tears. He lowered the gun. "It's okay," he said softly. I'm not going to hurt you. His team stared in shock. What do we do, Captain? One of them asked. Jace looked at the child. We take her with us, he said. We protect her. Far away aboard her warship, Princess Zalara's eyes opened wide. She felt it. Something was wrong. Find my niece, she commanded. Now. First strike, the war had begun. But no one on Earth truly understood how dangerous the enemy was. Not yet. Deep in space, among the shattered remains of the Mars outposts, burned flags and broken weapons floated silently. Hundreds of human soldiers had vanished. No distress calls, no survivors, only silence. General Kai from Earth Command stared at the battle logs. This isn't a war, he muttered. It's execution. Far from the chaos on a quiet moon named Drake 4, Captain Jace Marin had just made a discovery that would change everything. A child, alien, Valari, alone, wounded, and crying. His soldiers stood frozen. Captain, that's an enemy, one of them whispered. She's one of them. Jace looked down at her. Her small body was shaking, but she wasn't afraid. She wasn't even moving. She was exhausted. Lost. He slowly knelt and took off his helmet, his voice calm, kind. It's okay. I won't hurt you. The child blinked. She tried to speak, but her voice was too weak. Jace pulled out his water flask and handed it to her. She took it carefully and drank. His team looked confused. Sir, what are we doing? That's a war criminal's child. Jace stared at them. She's just a child. She didn't start this war. He lifted her gently. Her head rested on his shoulder. We're taking her back. On the Valari flagship, a sensor beeped. Princess Zalara was in her private chamber studying Earth's defense maps. Her sharp eyes never blinked. Her mind worked like a machine, calculating, watching, planning. The beeping continued. Her ship's AI spoke. Royal blood signature. Detected. Zalara froze. Her eyes went wide. Location? She asked. Drake 4. Signal weak. Life sign stable but fading. How? She whispered. Her generals rushed in. Your Highness, is it your niece? Zalara stood. She's alive. She closed her eyes for a moment, and her voice turned cold again. Prepare a hunter unit. I want my blood returned. And the human who touched her, bring me his heart. Jace and his team returned to their ship, trying to stay quiet. The child was wrapped in his cloak, sleeping, but something didn't feel right. Check the skies, Jace said. Any movement? The pilot shook his head. No signals, just background noise. Too quiet. Jace looked at the child. Who are you really? He scanned her body. One signal lit up on his screen. Royal DNA marker detected, high command level. He stared in shock. She's not just any alien, he whispered. She's royal. His team gasped. Sir, if she's royalty, then we're dead. Jace didn't answer. He stared out at the stars. They were being hunted, and the hunter was close. Meanwhile, in space, the hunter unit had already launched. 5 elite Valari assassins trained from birth flew toward Drake 4. Silent, deadly, invisible. Zalara watched their ship vanish into hyperspace. She gripped the necklace in her hand, the one her sister gave her before dying. They will suffer, she whispered, and then they will beg. Hours later, Jace's ship reached a secure human research station orbiting Saturn. The child was placed in a medical pod for healing. Sarah, Jace's friend and fellow officer, stared at him. You just brought a war into our station, she said quietly. Jace looked at her. Tired. Frustrated. I saved a life. You saved the wrong life, she replied. We're in danger now. Before Jace could answer, alarms blared. Unidentified vessel approaching. Shields failing. Breach in 3, 2, 1. The wall exploded. Smoke and fire. The Valari assassins entered without a sound. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. They just killed. Sarah pulled Jace behind a wall. They're here for her, she said. Jace nodded. Then we don't let them take her. The station turned into chaos. Jace grabbed a plasma rifle and moved toward the medical pod. A tall assassin was already there, reaching for the child. Don't touch her, Jace shouted. The assassin turned. No eyes. Just a mask. They fought. Jace was strong, but the Volari were faster, smarter, deadlier. He took hit after hit, but never stopped. The child woke up, her eyes wide, glowing. Run, Jace whispered, blood dripping from his lips. Run, she screamed, and something strange happened. A wave of energy exploded from her body, throwing the assassin back. Lights cracked. Glass shattered. Sarah pulled her away. Jace stood again, holding his weapon. Tell your queen, he said, pointing the barrel at the assassin's chest. This child is under my protection. He fired. The assassin fell, but the others were still coming. Back on the Volari flagship, Zalara felt the energy wave. She closed her eyes. She awakened, she whispered. My niece is growing stronger. Her second-in-command spoke. But your assassins failed. Zalara didn't respond. She walked to the command deck. Send a message to the humans, she ordered. They have something of mine. If they don't return her, I will burn their cities. On the station, Jace stood over the broken bodies of the assassins. His team had taken heavy losses. He held the child's hand as she cried. We have to go, he said softly. They won't stop. Sarah nodded. Where to? Somewhere they can't find us. Jace looked at the stars, and then, we find a way to end this. The hidden child. The war wasn't waiting anymore. It had arrived. Captain Jace Marin sat beside a sleeping alien child in a hidden underground room, deep beneath an old human supply station orbiting Neptune. The walls around them buzzed faintly. Outside, the galaxy was burning. He checked his weapon. Broken, his armor cracked, his team cut in half after the Volari assassin attack. Yet, somehow, the child had survived. Again. Who are you really? He whispered, watching her breathe. But she couldn't answer. She still didn't speak much, just simple words. Safe. Cold. Hurt. Sometimes she said his name. Jace. She had learned fast. Too fast. Jace's friend, Sarah, entered the room quietly. Her arm was wrapped in bandages, her face pale. You should sleep, she said. Jace shook his head. They're still hunting. I can feel it. She used some kind of energy, Sarah whispered. It wasn't just defense, it was controlled, focused. Did you see how the assassin froze when she screamed? Jace nodded. That wasn't fear. It was recognition. They know who she is. So do we, Sarah said. She's not just royalty. She's something more. Jace looked down. She saved my life, he said. I won't hand her over. Far away in the deep command halls of the Volari homeworld, Queen Zalara stood in front of a map. Red lights marked every human base attacked. Yellow lights marked the ones yet to fall, but one tiny green light blinked near Neptune. That's where she is, Zalara said. My blood, my child's only kin. The generals looked nervous. But she was hidden since birth. No one was supposed to know, and yet a human found her, Zalara said sharply. And now, they care for her. We should destroy them, a general growled. No, Zalara whispered. We watch. Inside the Neptune base, strange things began to happen. The child, whom Jace had started calling Lyra, was changing. Every day, she spoke more. Her wounds healed faster. She didn't eat much, and her eyes, once soft, were now glowing brighter than ever. One night, Jace woke up to find Lyra standing in the hallway staring at the stars through a small window. Can't sleep? He asked. She turned. Many voices, she said. What kind of voices? She paused. They call me. But they're not kind. Her voice trembled. Jace knelt beside her. You're safe here. I promise. Lyra looked at him. Promise is strong? Stronger. Then space, he smiled. She smiled too, but only for a moment. The next day, Jace connected to a classified human database. He needed answers. He typed, Valari child, energy pulse, royal DNA. A file opened, locked. He broke the code using a soldier's override. His eyes widened. Project Silencer, classified research. The child of the fallen princess. The file. Read. Hidden at birth, feared by her own kind. Genetically altered. Potential threat level. Extinction class. Extinction? He scrolled further. There were videos. Lyra, only a baby, unleashing bursts of power, rooms melting, soldiers flying across chambers. Then silence. The final line. If discovered, destroy immediately. Jace turned off the screen. He was breathing hard. He looked at Lyra, now quietly drawing pictures on the floor. Stars, planets, people, innocent, curious, peaceful. But inside her, something slept. Something dangerous. And if humans feared her, and her own kind wanted her back. What would happen when she truly awakened? In orbit above Neptune, a Valari stealth ship had arrived. Inside, a new figure stood, taller than the assassins, sharper, silent. Commander Rawl. He was not there to kill. He was there to extract. Target confirmed, he said. The child lives. His voice was dry, metallic. Capture intact. No harm. Queen's orders. His team prepared. But if the human resists? One asked. Rawl looked down at the planet. Then bury him beneath the ice. Back on the base, Lyra began drawing faster. Her hands shook. Jace walked over. What is it? She pointed at a picture she just made. A ship. Dark. Sharp. They are. Here, she said. Alarm suddenly blared. Incoming signal, Sarah shouted. No ID. Stealth class ship. Jace grabbed his gear. They found us. He turned to Lyra. Can you hide? She looked scared. No hide. They feel me. The lights flickered. Doors slammed. Then silence. It's too late, Jace said. A hiss echoed down the halls. The enemy was inside. Commander Rawl walked through the shadows. His team moved without sound. But Lyra knew. She walked into the center of the base and stood there. Alone. Jace ran after her. Lyra, what are you doing? She turned, her eyes glowing like burning stars. They come for me. No more run. Commander Rawl stepped from the darkness. His voice was calm. Princess Lyra. The Queen calls you home. Jace stepped between them. She's not going anywhere. Rawl tilted his head. You cannot protect her. Watch me. Rawl moved fast. Too fast, but Lyra raised her hand. A wall of force exploded outward. The lights burst. Sarah screamed from behind. Jace grabbed Lyra and pulled her behind cover. You have to control it, he said. Breathe. Focus. Lyra closed, her eyes. The air around her shimmered. Commander Rawl smiled. You are waking up, he whispered. Then he vanished into the smoke. Not defeated. Just watching. After hours, the base went silent again. Half the systems were gone. The walls cracked. Jace's hand was burned. Sarah's ribs broken. But Lyra stood. Calm. Glowing. Something had changed. They won't stop, she said softly. Then neither will we, Jace replied. Why do you help me? She asked. Because you chose peace. And that means everything. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. You're not like them, he smiled. Neither are you. Far above, hidden in the shadows of a dying star, Xalara watched the footage from Rawl's ship. She saw her niece, but what truly shocked her was how the child looked at the human, with trust, with hope, with love. Xalara whispered to herself, this war is no longer about revenge. It's about the future. Enemy or savior. Space is cold. Not just in temperature, but in silence, in betrayal, and in the thin line between friend and enemy. Captain Jace Marin knew that better than anyone now. He sat in a damaged med bay on the Neptune base watching the small alien child, Lyra, rest in a healing pod. Soft lights blinked around her. Machines hummed quietly. Her tiny chest rose and fell with each breath. But Jace didn't feel peace. He felt watched. 2 days had passed since the attack by Commander Rawl's elite unit. Half of Jace's team was dead. The base was barely holding power. Sarah had fractures, in 3 ribs and a wound stitched across her shoulder, yet no one left. They stayed because of Lyra, because of what she could become, and because they knew. Both humanity and the Valari Empire were now after her, but for different reasons. Deep inside Earth's High Command headquarters, General Kai slammed his fist against a table. A human soldier is protecting an alien child who could end this war, or destroy us all, he shouted. The council watched in silence. A blurry hologram of Jace and Lyra played on the wall. We trained that man, Kai said. We gave him rank, honor, trust. Now he's shielding the enemy. Another general stood. He's not protecting the enemy. He's protecting a chance. Kai scoffed. A chance? At what? At peace? He leaned in. There's no peace with monsters. We either bring that child in, or we erase her. The council voted. The order was clear. Retrieve the child. If resistance is met, neutralize both. Back on Neptune, Jace felt the shift in the air. Sarah handed him a data pad. We intercepted a message. From Earth Command. He read the words, then read them again. They've turned on us, he said quietly. Sarah nodded. They're sending a special unit, extraction and cleanup. Jace looked toward Lyra's room. They want to use her or kill her. He stood, his jaw clenched. Then we run. And go where? Sarah asked. Every side wants her. Then we go off the map. Meanwhile, far across the stars, Queen Zalara watched a secret feed. From Commander Rawl. Footage of Lyra stopping a blast with her mind. Footage of her healing without tech. Footage of her whispering the word home to a human. Zalara's heart ached. She's becoming something new, she said softly. Rawl's voice came through a comm channel. She trusts the human. Dangerously. Has he harmed her? Zalara asked. No. He protects her, speaks to her gently, shields her even from his own kind. Then, he is a threat, she said coldly. A powerful one. But her voice cracked at the end. A part of her wasn't sure anymore. Was Jace really the enemy? Or had she become the monster in this story? Jace gathered supplies, stealth gear, rations, power cells. They had 1 transport left. Not fast, but hidden. We leave tonight, he said to Sarah. She looked unsure. You sure about this? I don't trust Earth. I don't trust the Valari, but I trust her. In the med bay, Lyra woke up. You're leaving? She asked. Jace smiled. We're leaving, together. Her face lit up, but faded quickly. They will come. More of them. Let them, Jace said. We'll be ready. Night came. Engines warmed. The ship was almost prepped, and then a voice echoed through the base. Captain Jace Marin, this is Commander Ellen of the Human Task Force. Stand down and surrender the alien child. Jace froze. They're early, Sarah whispered. They always are. Jace replied. You have 1 minute, the voice said. Or we breach. Jace looked at Lyra. She grabbed his hand. Please, don't leave me. He knelt down. Never. The walls exploded inward. Flashbangs, smoke, shouting. Humans in black armor stormed the base. Jace and Sarah fired stun rounds, not to kill, just to delay. The lead soldier charged. Jace grabbed Lyra and ran. A hallway lit up with emergency red. Sirens screamed. Systems crashed. Jace reached the launch bay but found it blocked. 3 soldiers waited with rifles raised. "Don't move, Captain." Jace stepped forward slowly, holding Lyra close. "This child is not a weapon," he said. "She is a chance, for both our races." One soldier's grip trembled. "We have orders." "And what do you believe?" Jace asked. "Is she an enemy? Or a child?" Silence. And then, one soldier lowered his weapon. "Go." The others looked shocked. "Go," he shouted again. Jace didn't wait. He sprinted for the ship. Sarah was already inside, bleeding but alive. The ship launched seconds before the soldiers could fire. They vanished into the stars. Hours later, floating in silent space, Lyra sat beside Jace in the cockpit. She pointed at a small planet on the map, quiet, uninhabited, hidden. "There," she said. "You sure?" She nodded. "How do you know?" "I remember from dreams." They set course. As stars blurred around them, Jace finally breathed, but far behind them Queen Zalara watched from her flagship. "Don't chase them yet," she told Rawl. "Why not?" "Because something is happening, and if we force it now, we might lose everything." The final scene, on Earth, General Kai received a silent message, unknown sender, encrypted. It contained one line of text. "The child is changing, and when she chooses a side, the war will end." Kai leaned back in his chair. "Then we better pray she chooses us." Betrayals and battles, the galaxy was holding its breath. Somewhere in the cold, dark space beyond the Neptune line, a stolen human ship drifted silently between asteroid shadows. Inside it were 3 fugitives, Captain Jace Marin, Officer Sarah, and the most wanted being in the universe, a Valari child named Lyra. Jace stood by the window, watching the stars. His hand rested on his side where a laser wound was still healing. His armor was scratched, his face tired. Behind him, Lyra sat on the floor drawing stars with her finger on a fogged window panel. Her energy was different now, quiet but deep, like a storm learning how to sleep. "How much time do we have?" Sarah asked, checking the sensors. "Not enough," Jace said. "You think they'll come?" Jace nodded. "Both of them. Humans want to control her. Valari want to take her. And Lyra?" He glanced back. "Lyra is becoming something neither of them understand." On the Valari flagship, Queen Zalara stood before a council of generals. Her expression was unreadable, part calm, part fury. "They escaped." One general said. "Again." "Let them run," Zalara replied. "But they carry your blood." "And still she runs from us," the queen whispered. "The child doesn't fear us. She fears being used." The room fell silent. Commander Rawl stepped forward. "We cannot wait forever. If she bonds with the human, she may never return." Zalara's eyes narrowed. "Then we bring her back, not with force, but with truth." Meanwhile, Earth Command had activated a new unit, Black Star Division. Silent, unseen, deadly. General Kai stood at their briefing. "The child must be captured alive," he ordered. "But if she shows hostile signs, eliminate her and the traitor Marin." A soldier raised a hand. "What if the child sides with us willingly?" Kai's voice dropped. "She won't. She's not human." On the run, Jace and Sarah landed their HFY ship on a shadow moon called Kavar 9. It was lifeless, cold, and covered in black rock. Perfect for hiding, but not for surviving. Inside a hidden cave, they set up temporary shelter. While Sarah worked on restoring the comms, Jace sat beside Lyra. "You're getting stronger," he said. Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "If I hurt someone bad, will you still stay?" Jace looked at her carefully. "Did you hurt someone?" Lyra nodded slowly. "When the soldier tried to take me, I didn't mean to." But he stopped breathing. Jace took her hand. "Power is dangerous, but it's how you use it that matters. I'm not leaving." Lyra looked up. "Promise?" "Promise. But promises don't stop betrayal." Hours later, Sarah stood outside the cave, speaking into a hidden device. Her voice cracked. "Target confirmed. Child alive. Send extraction team. A voice replied. Confirmed. You've done well. She turned off the signal and cried. The next morning, the sky broke open. Black Star ships descended like shadows with fire. Jace barely had time to grab Lyra before the cave collapsed from a blast. He pulled her behind a ridge. They found us. It was her, Lyra said softly. What? Sarah? She told them. Jace looked back and saw Sarah standing alone, weapon dropped. Tears fell down her cheeks. I didn't want to, but they threatened my family. Black Star. Soldiers moved in, surrounding them. Hand over the child, Marin, the commander barked. Jace raised his hands. She's not your enemy. She's a threat to both species. She's a child. The commander nodded. A child who can tear planets in half. He pointed his rifle. This is your last warning. Lyra stepped forward. The wind changed. The ground shook. Even the soldiers paused. Her voice was calm. No more warnings. A wave of light exploded from her body. It wasn't an attack, it was truth. Suddenly the soldiers saw flashes in their minds. Her memories, her crying alone, her powers out of control, her people hiding her, the humans trying to capture her, and Jace. Protecting her, some soldiers fell to their knees. One dropped his weapon. What is she? One whispered. She's what comes next, Jace said. Commander barked orders. Open fire! Before the first shot landed, another explosion hit the field, but from the sky, a new ship descended, sleek, silver glowing. The Volari flagship had arrived. Solara stepped out, alone. No weapons, no guards, just a mother. She walked through smoke and fire, eyes locked on her niece. Lyra looked confused. Why? Are you here? Solara knelt. Because I stopped seeing you as a weapon, and remembered you are family. Lyra's hands glowed, but she didn't attack. Do you want to take me? No, Solara said. I want to understand you. Jace stepped forward, his rifle lowered. Black Star soldiers stood frozen between both sides. So what now? He asked. Do we all kill each other, or do we finally talk? Solara looked at him. You protected her, even when it meant turning against your own. Why? Jace looked at Lyra. Because she saved me. Solara paused. Then you're not my enemy. But those who chase her for power, they are. She turned to the Black Star commander. Tell your leaders, the child is not their tool. We'll see about that, the commander growled and pressed a detonator. The ground began to shake again, this time from planted charges deep in the rock. Fall back, Sarah screamed. Solara raised a shield around Lyra and Jace. Rocks rained down. Flames burst. When the smoke cleared, only silence remained. Hours later, on a medical ship in orbit, Jace woke up. His wounds were treated. Beside him, Lyra slept peacefully. Solara stood by the window. You still don't trust me, she said. Not yet, Jace replied. But you saved us. We all have someone worth saving, Solara said. Even if it takes a war to remember that. Back on Earth, General Kai received a message. His face darkened. Volari Queen and Marin have formed an alliance. Child remains free. He turned to his screen. Then we go to Phase 2. A hidden vault opened. Inside, a cage holding another child, eyes glowing red. Let's see how the galaxy likes our weapon. Truth in the fire space wasn't silent anymore. After the battle on Kivar 9, the stars whispered of something impossible. A human had stood beside a royal Volari child and survived the wrath of both empires. Rumors spread like wildfire across every outpost, colony, and command ship. Captain Jace Marin was no longer seen as a traitor. He was something worse, a symbol of rebellion. Aboard a Volari cruiser in orbit above a red dwarf star, Jace stared at the stars, bandaged and bruised. His mind still burned with the memory of the cave collapse, the detonator, and Queen Zalara shielding them from certain death. He should hate her, She had killed thousands of his people, and yet she had saved his life again. Inside the medbay, Lyra was recovering. Her body glowed with soft light as machines scanned her vitals, but they were failing to keep up. Her powers were changing her from the inside. Her energy is rewriting itself, said the Valari medic. Faster than we've ever seen. Jace stood beside her bed, silent. He didn't understand the science. He only knew one thing: if she lost control, no ship would survive. Queen Zalara entered the room quietly. No armor. No guards. Only her long royal cloak and the necklace of her fallen sister around her neck. She's not just powerful, Zalara said. She's awakening to her origin. What does that mean? Jace asked. Zalara hesitated. Before the war, before the humans ever stepped into deep space, there was a prophecy among the first Valari scholars. Jace raised an eyebrow. A prophecy? Yes. Of a child born with the blood of war, but the heart of both species. A hybrid soul who could speak to the galaxy itself. But Lyra's not human, Jace said. No, Zalara replied. But her father was. Jace froze. What? Zalara looked down. It was my sister's secret. She fell in love with a human explorer who crashed on our moon. They hid it from everyone. But when Lyra was born, her power was unstable. Too much for any species to understand. The council ordered her destroyed. I saved her. Hid her. Until now. Jace stepped back, shaken. So she's both? Zalara nodded. And that's why both sides fear her. While the truth cracked open in space, Earth Command prepared its next move. General Kai stood in the black vault under Arctic Command Base, staring at a child inside a containment field. This was Unit E7, engineered from captured Valari DNA and combined with human enhancements. Emotionless, brutal, unstable, a boy, barely 8, but with strength enough to destroy battleships. Kai turned to the lead scientist. How soon until he's ready? He's ready now, the man replied. But there's a risk. He has no loyalty, only instinct. Kai smiled coldly. Good. Then we point him at the girl. Back on the Valari ship, Lyra woke up. Her eyes had changed, still glowing, but now layered with color. Not just power. Memory. Awareness. Jace sat beside her. How do you feel? He asked. She sat up slowly. Like I'm not just me anymore. She looked at her hands. Something inside me wants to burn everything, but something else whispers to protect it. Jace nodded. You have both inside you. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you rare. She reached out and touched his arm. Do you trust me? He didn't hesitate. With my life. But trust was about to be tested. Alarms blared across the cruiser. Zalara rushed to the control deck. What is it? A Valari officer shouted. Earth vessel incoming. Unmarked. No ID code, moving fast. Open comms. No reply. Raise shields. Too late. The ship was struck by a beam so strong it ripped open one of the hull sections. Jace grabbed Lyra and shielded her as fire sprayed. Through the corridors, soldiers were tossed like paper. Power flickered. Systems failed. And then he saw it. A boy floated through the breach. No suit. No gear. Just pale skin, silver eyes. And rage. Unit E7, Exalera's guards opened fire, but their weapons melted. In the air, Unit E7 raised his hand and crushed a steel wall without touching it. He said only one word. Target. His eyes locked onto Lyra. Jace stepped in front of her. Weapon ready. Get behind me, he said. But Lyra stepped forward too. He's like me, she whispered. No, he's not, Jace replied. He's a weapon. You're a choice. Unit E7 charged, and then light exploded. Lyra met him head on. Their energies collided in the center of the chamber, forming a glowing storm of fire and wind. Metal twisted. Glass shattered. Zalara screamed, "Pull them apart!" But no one could move. The two children floated in the storm. One built to destroy, the other born to decide. Jace watched helplessly as Lyra pushed harder, her voice breaking through the roar. "You don't have to be their monster," she shouted, to E7. His face twitched. For the first time, emotion, confusion, pain. The storm flickered. And then, it collapsed. Both children fell to the floor. Jace rushed to Lyra. She was breathing. But Unit E7 lay still, eyes open, tears in them, not rage. Grief. Hours later, the ship was in ruins. Survivors were few. Repairs began. Lyra sat beside E7's quiet body. Solara watched from a distance. "What now?" Jace asked. Lyra answered for all of them. "We stop running." "How?" "We show them what they fear." She looked at Jace. "Not war, not power, but peace that doesn't need permission." At Earth Command, Kai saw the wreckage report, saw the footage of Unit E7's defeat, saw Lyra kneel beside him crying. He threw the screen across the room. "They've turned her into a symbol." He looked up at the sky. "Then we end this." Across the stars, a storm was building, but the fire had already spoken, and truth, once released, could not be chained again. A choice for peace war was no longer coming. It had arrived. The skies, above Earth, glowed red as Volari and human fleets stood on opposite sides of orbit, armed and ready. One move, one spark, and everything would burn. Every satellite screen on Earth broadcast the same message: prepare for full-scale invasion. But in the heart of it all, inside a small neutral command station floating between the fleets, sat a child, not just any child. Lyra. Captain Jace Marin paced the command deck, armor still scorched from the last battle. His ribs were bruised and his hands trembled, not from fear but from the weight of what was coming. Beside him, Queen Zalara stood tall, her royal cloak burned and torn. She looked nothing like a queen. She looked like a mother who had lost too much, and in front of them both Lyra sat in silence. Eyes closed, hands folded, breathing slowly. She was not the same girl who cried in a cave. She was something more now, stronger, wiser, dangerous, and deeply human. The meeting had been set a final summit between the two empires, Earth Command and Volari High Council. Only 3 people allowed to speak: Jace, Solara, and Lyra. Outside, battleships charged weapons. On both sides, soldiers waited for the order to attack. One wrong word, and millions would die. Inside, the Chamber General Kai entered first. Cold, calculated. 2 armed officers stood behind him. "This is madness," he said, eyeing Lyra. "You brought a child to negotiate war?" Solara stood. "She's not here to negotiate, she's here to decide." Kai laughed bitterly. "Decide what?" "Whether this galaxy lives or dies." Lyra opened her eyes, and everything stopped. The walls hummed, lights dimmed, even the air seemed to hold its breath. "I know what you all think of me," she said. "Too much power, too young, too dangerous." Her voice was calm, but it filled the room. "You're not wrong." She stood and walked to the center of the chamber. "I was born from 2 worlds. One taught me fear, the other taught me anger, but neither taught me choice." Solara watched, her eyes misted. Jace nodded, silent. Lyra continued. "Humans fear the Volari because they don't understand them. Volari hate humans because they think they're careless. Both sides have blood on their hands." She looked at Kai. "Your weapon, Unit E7, he cried before he died." Kai's jaw tightened. He was a failed prototype. "No," Lyra said. "He was a child, just like me." She turned to the others. "And if you force me to choose one side, I won't." Kai stepped forward. "Then, you choose war." "No," she said louder now. "I choose peace, and I'll show you what that looks like." She raised her hand, and energy rippled from her body. Not destruction, not force. Memory. Images filled the chamber. Jace shielding her in battle. Solara saving her from death. Sarah crying after betraying her. Unit E7 reaching for her hand. No one spoke. Even Kai froze. "This is everything you've all tried to hide," Lyra said. "But truth is not weakness." She walked up to Kai. "You wanted me to be your weapon." She walked to Zalara. "You wanted me to be your legacy." Then she turned to Jace. "But he wanted me to be free." Jace's eyes met hers. "What now?" he asked softly. Lyra looked up. "We end this." Outside, alarms blared. One of the Earth Fleet's captains had misread a signal, believing the Volari had activated weapons. Missiles launched. Zalara's warships responded. Within seconds, a battle began. Not in the chamber, but above Earth's. Skied explosions rocked the station. Power flickered. Kai grabbed his comms. "Abort! Abort! Hold fire!" But it was too late. Ships fell. Hundreds died in moments. Jace rushed to a monitor. "It's happening," Zalara shouted. "They won't. Stop now." Lyra stood in the middle, shaking. "Enough." She raised both hands, and the station filled with light. Outside, the fleets froze. Weapons powered down. Ships halted mid-attack. A barrier of energy stretched from the station like a dome, reaching to both armadas, wrapping them in silence. Every screen, every comlink, every voice stopped, and in their place, Lyra's voice echoed, "You fire because you're afraid. You kill because you've forgotten how to talk. But today, I speak for the ones who never had a voice." She floated now, above the chamber floor. A beam of soft golden light surrounded her. Zalara knelt. Jace dropped to one knee. Even Kai lowered his head. The war, for the first time in history, had paused. When the light faded, Lyra collapsed. Jace caught her in his arms. "You did it," he whispered. Her eyes opened, weak. "I'm tired." "You can rest now," he said. Days later, on a neutral moon, a treaty was signed. Not by force, but by will. By fear turned to understanding. By soldiers who refused to shoot. And by leaders who listened, for once, to a child. Lyra never returned. To Earth, or to the Volari homeworld. She became something greater. A bridge. A myth. A hope. Ships carved her name into their hulls. Explorers told her story to children on cold colony nights. Soldiers hung her symbol above their bunks. And every year, across both empires, they lit a fire in the sky. Not to remember war, but to remember the day it stopped. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, a girl watched from a quiet planet no one knew. Smiling. Finally free.